SERAP, and the Human and Environmental Development Agency, HEDA, have been allowed to sue the Central Bank of Nigeria for failing to disclose detailed information on COVID-19 donations requested from it in July this year. Justice Nyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja granted the order following an ex parte application moved on Monday by the two applicants' counsel, Joel Ekong. In the ex parte application, the applicants noted that it was reported that about 15 billion naira in monetary contributions is currently in the account set up under the Private Sector Coalition Against COVID-19, CACOVID, and domiciled with the CBN. SERAP and HEDA say they are concerned that despite the donations, majority of Nigerians, including the poorest and the most vulnerable people, have not benefited from the federal government and private sector. Noted that till date, 67,555 cases have been confirmed, 63,282 cases discharged, and 1,173 deaths recorded so far in the 36 states and the FCT. And the Director General of the NCDC, Dr. Chikwe Ihekwazu, has dampened hopes that Nigeria would take delivery of COVID-19 vaccines very soon. At a media briefing of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 on Monday in Abuja, he stated that there have been encouraging news about COVID-19 vaccines, but that mass production of the vaccines might still take time. The NCDC boss added that the country is very far from having one with a license and enjoined Nigerians to be health cautious during the festive season. He also advised against non-essential domestic and international travel, especially for persons above 60 years and all with pre-existing medical conditions. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has urged Nigerians not to conduct usual Christmas festivities, such as carol services this year, to contain the spread of COVID-19. Chikwe Ihekwazu, the Director General of the NCDC, stated this during the weekly briefing of the task force in Abuja on Monday. Ihekwazu said Christmas carols, travels, and other gatherings should turn out to be super spreaders, or rather could turn out to be super spreaders of the coronavirus. He also urged Nigerians to make wise health choices during the festive season. And other stories in other parts of Africa, fighters of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, have been seen trying to regroup outside the city of Mekelle just days after losing the state capital. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who had earlier declared the conflict over, claims that the TPLF fighters who fled Mekelle are in his sight. He said the Federal Army didn't attack because the retreating TPLF fighters had their families and abducted soldiers with them. The head of the TPLF, Debretsion Gebremichael, denied he was in the area, but admitted that his troops were close by, insisting the TPLF would fight on as long as the federal troops, which he called invaders, were in their land. European Union officials are considering suspending budget support to Ethiopia because of the month-long conflict in the Horn of Africa's nation's Tigray region. The EU provided 815 million euros, or $975 million, of budget support to Ethiopia in the past 7 years. EU officials say they may delay an additional 90 million euro transfer because of the impact the violence has had on human rights. The International Monetary Fund forecast economic growth in Ethiopia would slow to 1.9% this year from 9% in 2019. Now, outside Africa, environmental activists took Royal Dutch Shell to court on Tuesday, December 1st, to demand that the energy firm drastically reduce the production of oil and gas to limit its effect on climate change. 7 activist groups, including Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth Netherlands, filed a lawsuit in the Netherlands in April 2019 on behalf of more than 17,000 Dutch citizens. They say the oil giant is threatening human rights as it continues to invest billions in the production of fossil fuels. Friends of the Earth Netherlands director Daniel Pols said the group wants Shell to cut its greenhouse gas emissions almost in half by 2030 and direct its investment to sustainable sources of energy.
When we win, we can use this as a legal precedent in order to have similar court cases against other large polluters in other countries. And of course, this will be a stimulus for the European Union to introduce a CO2 border tax, which will force the whole European economy to reduce CO2.
Pfizer Incorporated and BioNTech have applied to the European drugs regulator for conditional authorization of their COVID-19 vaccine, following similar steps in the United States and Britain. The application to the European Medicines Agency, EMA, comes after the companies applied for U.S. approval on November 20, taking them a step closer to launching their vaccine. In their pursuit of a European launch potentially this year, the partners are neck and neck with their rival Moderna, which said on Monday it would ask the EU regulator to recommend conditional approval for its shot. U.S. drug maker Pfizer and Germany's BioNTech reported final trial results on November 18th that showed their vaccine candidate was 95% effective in preventing COVID-19, with no major safety concerns, raising the prospect of U.S. and European approval as early as December. And Russia has reported a record 569 deaths linked to the novel coronavirus on Tuesday. The official death toll now stands at 40,464. Authorities also reported 26,402 new coronavirus infections in the last 24 hours, including 6,524 in the capital, Moscow. A national cumulative tally is at 2,322,056 cases. And now in business news, President Muhammadu Buhari has forwarded the Finance Bill 2020 to the National Assembly, seeking its speedy passage into law to aid the implementation of the proposed 2021 budget. Senate President Ahmed Lawan read the president's letter at plenary on Tuesday morning. Buhari transmitted the bill to the lawmakers in accordance with Sections 58 and 59 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The bill is proposing key reforms in taxation and customs, among other far-reaching decisions, against the backdrop of the international oil price decline and effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Still in business, Zainab Ahmed, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, says the federal government conceded 341.94 billion naira worth of waivers from August 2017 to August 2019. The finance minister made this known at a sensitization seminar on the Automated Import Duty Exemption Certificate (IDEC) in Kano. The minister, who was represented by Shehu Nalakura, Kano State Commissioner for Finance, explained that the new IDEC platform, which is in line with the federal government's Strategic Revenue Growth Initiative (SRGI), is an avenue to drive industrialization and economic growth. Hamid Ali, the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service (NCS), represented at the event by Lawrence Banye, Commandant of the Customs Training College Kano, said the IDEC would bring a total automation of all trans-border trade activities of the NCS. And the European Council on Tuesday approved a set of conclusions in response to a call for debt relief for African countries. A report says the conclusions highlight the increase in debt vulnerability in low-income countries, particularly in Africa, and underscore the European Union's support for a coordinated international approach on debt relief efforts for African countries. The Council welcomed the G20 Paris Club Debt Service Suspension Initiative, DSSI, which offers a temporary debt moratorium to the poorest countries to help them manage the severe impact of COVID-19's pandemic, and its extension until 30th June 2021, with the possibility of a further extension by 6 months. It welcomes the G20 agreement on a common framework for debt treatment beyond the DSSI as a major step forward in the sovereign debt restructuring international architecture. calling for the negotiation of debt restructuring where necessary on a case-by-case basis, while also ensuring strong conditionality on public financial management, anti-corruption frameworks, and domestic resource mobilization in context of an International Monetary Fund program. You're still watching News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Up next is our roundup on entertainment and sports news. Welcome back, and now for some entertainment. Controversial Nigerian journalist Kemi Olunloyo has apologized to Davido, Linda Ikeji, and several other celebrities she has had a misunderstanding with on social media. Kemi announced this on her social media page on Tuesday, listing names like Eniola Badmus, Dayo Amusa, Venita Akpofure, Shei Law, Georgina Onwoha, Iyabo Ojo, Lasisi Elenu, and Toyin Lawani. She described herself as the nicest person in the world and called for all industry scuffles to end this year. And South Korea's parliament has passed a bill to allow globally recognized K-pop artists such as BTS to postpone their mandatory military service to the age of 30. Under the law, all able-bodied South Korean men aged between 18 and 28 must serve in the military for about 2 years as part of the country's efforts to guard against North Korea. The amendment to the Military Service Act was designed to provide exceptions for K-pop megastars who improve the country's cultural status and boost the economy. No K-pop stars had received exemptions, but the new bill will ensure entertainers recommended by the culture minister can defer their service to age 30. And now moving on to sports, Wolves striker Raul Jimenez says he hopes to return to the pitch soon in his first statement since fracturing his skull on Sunday. The Mexican has had surgery on the injury he suffered in a clash of heads with Arsenal defender David Luiz during Sunday's Premier League meeting. Jimenez was given oxygen on the pitch at the Emirates Stadium before being taken to the hospital, and a club statement said he was comfortable but would remain under observation for a few days. And Russian Nikita Mazepin will make his Formula One debut for Haas next season. The 21-year-old, who is third in Formula 2 with 2 races remaining, has signed a multi-year deal. Haas have not named their other driver, but Mick Schumacher, son of 7-time F1 champion Michael, is the favorite. Team principal Gunther Steiner said Nikita has underlined his credentials in F2 this year, with 2 victories and a handful of podiums in a strong season. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed. naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 I dey pay.
Welcome to another episode of Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. I am Fumi Onuajefe. This program focuses on the stories of people in Africa and how their innovations, ideas, and action impact on lives on the continent. On this episode of Africa on the Move, we'll be focusing on migration. Migration is currently at the center of disagreement between the mainly poor sending countries and the richer receiving countries. Today, the world is more connected than ever. Information, commodities, and money flow rapidly across the national boundaries, a phenomenon often referred to as globalization. And they're enslaved as prostitutes by network of traffickers. Let's take a look.
Prostitution is not a work. We should stop it.
It's thought between 200,000 and 400,000 women across Europe are forced to work as prostitutes. An increasing number of them are Nigerian, like the woman we just heard. They're lured to Europe with false promises and end up in backstreet brothels or red light districts in cities like Lyon, Madrid, or here in Turin. We join volunteers from a Catholic charity who try to get the girls off the street. 9 Nigerian women currently live in this house in Italy. We can't use their real names. As recognized victims of sexual abuse, they won't be deported, at least for now. Kate arrived in Europe a year ago.
They told me they were going to find a job for me, that there is a lot of job here. But they didn't tell me it's on the streets. The job is on the streets.
For many women, their troubles begin on their way to Europe, chapters when they arrive until they give in. The charity we're observing is using an online campaign to try to raise awareness about the plight of the women. Katia is one of the volunteers.
It's very common when the girls tell us that their own families.
Katia and many other volunteers here believe the women can still have a better future. She helps them get their papers and report the abusers to police. The women are still terrified of breaking their silence, but they also want to see the traffickers arrested.
People, please be careful when someone offers you greener pastures on the other side of the world. Our next story is on returnee migrants who migrated illegally and have returned home to Guinea. Listen to this story.
Early morning in a chicken farm near Conakry, Mamadou Tulel Bari is working with a project for returnee migrants. In 2016, he attempted the illegal journey to Europe, but he only made it to Niger. He had seen many of his friends die along the way. He himself had been tortured by human traffickers and thrown in jail by soldiers. After he was released, the International Organization for Migration flew him home.
After I returned, many people made fun of me because I didn't make it. But I felt relieved. I'm back home now and no one is oppressing me. I live well. Back there, we had problems with the military and we were discriminated against.
A total of 300 people work for the EU-funded project, which was launched by IOM and a local NGO. The most important aspect, its members are made up of equal numbers of returnees and local residents. This is to ensure that everyone benefits from the project and there is no resentment within the community.
It's already hard enough for the kids who come back. We need to motivate them, but they also need to accept the others.
Women also play a very important role in the reintegration of the returnees. Our own children are not among the returnees, but these young people could easily be our children. That's why we take care of them. My little brother, for example, also tried to leave, but criminals caught and castrated him. He has nothing left. Now he's like a woman. The boys here have all had similar experiences. That's why we need to support them. We are like mothers to them. Soon the first chickens and eggs will be sold. With 300 participants, their first payment will probably be low, but at least they will gain some perspective. Many young people in Guinea have lost hope. Well-paid jobs are difficult to find, and there aren't enough career opportunities. For many, escaping to Europe seems like the only way out. To counteract this, the Employment Office and the IOM have
awful time. Some have even been held in prison on the way.
They hit us and treated us badly. We were only given food once a day. It was hard.
Here they can recover from their failed attempt to reach Europe and get ready to return home. Officials from the International Organization for Migration collect data about where the migrants have come from and which route they took. Many have lost everything on the way. Da Ouda Mama Oudu says many people still want to go to Europe, but an increasing number are failing to get there.
There have been more migrants returning recently. The problem has been increasing over the last 3 months. Just today we have taken in 53 migrants here.
Some run out of money before they even make it to the Mediterranean and are forced to head back. Abu Kamara left Liberia 2 months ago. He's pleased to have got out with his life. Now he just wants to go home.
The thing I saw on the road is very difficult. For now, there is no one. We make this adventure, then you saw. Either you die after days to go in Tripoli, either you die on the road or you come back.
It can take weeks to get the documents they need to go home. They stay in the centre to avoid people smugglers who might pressure them to try their luck again.
I am Makaya Bungano. I came from Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. I'm a journalist. To be a journalist in Congo, by the time I was there in Congo, it was not so easy. First, about our security. You know, you just expose yourself. Everyone knows who you are, whatever, where you stay. And when something happening, really, they are beyond you. There where I was working, did have some problem, political problem. Then I just flee from Kinshasa to South Africa because my husband was already that side as a refugee. To my own country, I was just feeling at home. But when I went to South Africa, it's just like, yeah, I need to do so, I need to be careful. And then we need to stay in the bad conditions also, if I can say so, with some people you don't know, you sleep in the same place. And then you need to do so. And you must wait for the food they're giving you. If you miss that food, you miss. What I like it here is that integration. The integration, really, I did like it. They integrate you. You must just learn the language, and besides, they're just teaching you how is the country, how the country is whole. With the culture, about everything. Really, that integration is what I like it. And it's just like they make you also to feel at home. If you want to be integrated, Because there is others, really, they say, what is that? I don't want to, you know.
We'll take a break and then we'll be right back. Welcome back. Now we'll take a look at the lives of other migrants living in Germany as well.
Every time when you move the side to side. Remember, I came from Congo, I was in South Africa, I was in Sweden, today I'm here in Germany. As a Christian, whatever you go, you must search where is God. We're always going to find out our own people. That's why really I can see I'm just feeling at home when I'm going to the church. I am Makaya Bungano. But as long as he's a person, a human being, we just talk.
Thank you for joining us on Africa on the Move. See you next week.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Cross Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Today, we have National Assembly that is as dormant as we, the people.
All the children just sat down for us now. We many. Our children many. Then they inside house. We need school for this our community now. Make our children not leave us, go far place. Say they will go school for there. No, we don't need that. Make the school come here. So nothing for this Ogogoro community. We don't fight for this thing for a long time.
Actually, the community is under Victoria Island SCDA, under Etiusa, and also we are under Constituency 2 in the Lagos State House of Assembly. We have been existing for more than 100 years now, and we are facing a lot of challenges. We have more than 3,000 people, and a community whereby there's no health center, there's no school. In the education aspect, there's no school. Our children are not going to school. Even where there is school, the distance is far. How can you expect a 2 years, 3 years, 4 years old baby, a child to trek a distance to the school? And if you can see, they asked to also cross water to the other side to school. Most of these things is a big risk to take your child to another community through via water. It's a big risk. So most of the parents don't even allow their children to go to school based on this level. So we are appealing to the government that they should try and help the community. The community is not a community where under the state government. It's under the state government. Lagos State is under this country, Nigeria. It's not a foreign community. And you can see we are all living. When the times of election come, we also cast our vote. Yes, a lot of us have voters card here.
If they not give us anything, then they will stay their own now. They with their election. Now we they bring their election they up now. Now we Takpa Bay, Ebitoku,
Military Defense Headquarters and the United Nations, DIFA, Welcome back and to the first issue of the day. About 43 farmers have been killed by Boko Haram terrorists in Zabamari village in Maiduguri, capital of Borno State, Nigeria. According to reports, the attackers tied up the agricultural laborers working in rice fields and, killed them in a gruesome manner. However, a controversy concerning the numbers of farmers killed has arisen. While the defense headquarters says 43 farmers were murdered, the United Nations reported that over 110 locals were killed, adding that many other innocent civilians were wounded in the ruthless attack. Joining us to discuss this, whether 110 or 43, we want to look at the issue in a holistic manner. And we have joining us Kabir Adamu. Good evening, a security expert.
Good evening.
Yes, good to have you again.
The pleasure is mine.
Yeah, and it's sad that we have to discuss security once again. But let's look at what could have actually necessitated such huge discrepancy. We are not averse to different figures coming up when there are issues like this, but what could actually bring up such huge controversy before we look at the dastard act that was committed by the insurgents?
Well, we need to understand that the territory is security challenged where this happened. And so recovering corpses would be a bit difficult. I am aware that as at yesterday, there was a small protest, as it were, by the residents of the town where this should be. They wanted to go into the farm to recover the corpses, but the security...
Thank you, Kabir. We understand that we're now being joined by Dr. Ona Ehomu, another security expert. Good evening, Mr. Ehomu. Yeah, do we have Dr. Ona in the joining us now? Good evening, sir. Wow, I think we have quite a friendly network tonight. Okay, Dr. Ona, we will bring you into the... Can I... Okay, we'll come back to you. Mr. Kabiru, my worry a bit is why we may not downplay the fact that lives were killed. I mean, lives were taken irrespective of the number. But we're looking at, just an immediate issue where we were having back and forth between the CNN and what has been reported in Lekki. And that brings us to how such stories should be authenticated before it is released. You know, I know you are not a journalist, but I'm talking of how we should, you know, look at this process so that we don't always have these conflicting figures. And trust me, a whole lot of people will want to believe the higher figure than the normal figure. Then don't also rule out the fact that sometimes some of these security agents sometimes are accused of playing down the figure. So how authentic should this issue be reported?
Well, we're in the era of infodemic, and within that infodemic is the element of fake news. So the best way to counter that fake news is for the genuine and verified news to dominate the space. So constantly, I expect the verified sources to constantly release information, and not only that, to seek to engage the various elements to show transparency and to also show willingness to share this information. Part of the challenge I've had from several sources is whenever they try to reach out to...
I know you know so much about that area. Tell us what the place looked like and how this thing could have been averted.
Well, I can divide your questions into two. First, the first part, why were the farmers attacked? Now, everybody who knows Borno and has any, you know, semblance of an understanding of the security arrangement would know that once you are inside the city, then there is reasonable security. I use the word reasonable because even there you still see attacks once in a while, but at least the risk is low. The moment you step outside the city centers, they carried out the attack. So clearly, what is missing is communication. The other civil security departments in the location, even both the federal and state level. Unfortunately, whatever it was not present. So I believe that an investigation should be conducted, and whoever is responsible for allowing or dropping the ball to allow the kind of death that we saw happen should be held accountable. If it's the military, they should be held accountable. If it's the state level initiatives that were introduced, then they should be held accountable.
Okay.
But bottom line is that no death like this should be left, unpunished.
Okay, good. I think that's a very critical point we'll be looking at. We'll take a short break and bring in Dr. Ona into this discussion. Please don't go anywhere.
We can't talk about education reform if we don't decolonize our education system.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize. Because it's just cultural. And I think it's just human nature.
They stop paying us salary. I don't like remembering it.
I am angry at Nigeria. I'm angry at this government which seems to be letting out. I'm angry at us as a people.
In the process of struggling to free myself from his hand, he tore my pants and just...
I commit offense truly.
Young girl, do you know where you are going? I say, I'm going to America. I say, now so that they talk, you are going to Libya, which America?
As it then do mark our place, some people they die now.
This is Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Today, we have National Assembly that is as dormant as we, the people.
I believe that the Nigerian youths are just the way they used to be in the past. They don't know that the Nigerian youths are no longer Nigerian citizens only. We are now global citizens operating from all over the planet. The era of shutting down people is gone forever. And the government should